Welcome back. Today, I am going to explain an anime series called The Orbital Children 2019. Be ready for some spoilers are ahead. The story begins when a boy is having a bad dream about the Earth and a spaceship. As soon as he opens his eyes, he falls down from a little height. He forgets that he is on Earth and has gravity. He hates Earth's gravity. He has an intelligence limiter, Daki. He provides instruction to Daki about getting the information from the 12 databases. The instruction reaches the spaceship through Daki. The spaceship shows movement. The space tutor, Mina, is super excited as she, along with two other boys, is having a gravity-free environment. The boy sitting next to Mina is her brother, feels like using the washroom, but it is not allowed. They reach the space station hotel in Japan where they find a host 12. On the other hand, Toya, the boy who has an intelligence limiter, leaves the place and picks up the Daki. He is not happy with the Earth. He feels that it is better to live elsewhere. Meanwhile, Mina starts looking around to see Mars and Earth. She also discovers the presence of Crab. A warning is given to them to be seated and eat nothing. A third boy, Taya, introduces himself to both Nina and her brother Hiroshi. They all show up through a legal contest. They start discussing the last boy, who comes from the Earth. He is actually Toya. They discuss that he has innumerable followers. Toya listens to it all without liking it. Afterward, Mina's brother finds a weird thing. Mina calls it a shooting star. It is actually coming towards their space station. Suddenly, an instruction arrives that this comes from a lower orbit. The reporters of the spaceship become amazed. Where does it come from? They find out that it has actually come from one too. It stays behind the Earth. The reporter believes that it has chosen the wrong place to stay. However, Toya is supposed to visit a therapist. The therapist notices that Toya is more into technical stuff than caring about his own physical health. His pulse rate is ridiculously increasing. The therapist has to find a remedy. Afterward, the therapist inquires about the intelligence of Toya and finds that it comes from Technology 7, which later has some defects. Toya then picks his Ducky. She finds another implant girl, Kanoa. She tells that she cannot attend the dinner with the Earthlings, and she is not aware of how her implant is treating her. Toya reveals that he may have some bugs in his implant. NASA Houston, who is hired by the Human Resources, is not happy as she is paid half against the two jobs. The reporter fails to understand the moving object. Suddenly, the system faces a defect. The host 12 stops operating. Communications are blocked and the shield is unprotected. The operations are trying to restart the function of 12. Kanoa tells the therapist that she hears some odd noises. Toya feels discomfort. The three, Mina, her brother, and Taya, assume it was a terrorist attack. The reporter tries to understand whether there is a low trajectory of another moving shield that is causing a problem. Mina's brother reminds us that it can be from a group of hackers John Doe that made an attempt last year. Mina bears no convenience of the internet. Toya is too curious to know. 12 is taking time to restart. The space station can be hit and destroyed. Luckily, the other low trajectory shield deviates and the space station avoids the collision. 12 begins to restart. They are not out of the danger yet. Some functions will take time to execute and AI is one of those. Mina, along with the two, finally reaches a destination for a party. They love the beautiful sight. They hear an odd noise of fairy Toya calls of a chief. The reporter welcomes all of them. Upon asking, Chief is not willing to go to the party. Toya becomes thoughtful then. The party is placed in the hall and NASA Houston welcomes them all. They eat the space meat. Afterward, Toya arrives and Mina recognizes her and becomes extremely happy. Houston discloses that Toya is a famous spaceman. Toya shares the contribution of different companies to a space station. Houston reckons Toya makes a dull speech. Mina's brother is impressed and tells that he is a big fan of Toya. He tells that he knows about his conspiracies. Toya makes his discomfort with his space signals. Mina becomes angry and asks Toya to stop all this. Toya takes Mina into confidence. Your brother is alright. Suddenly a drone arrives and they all want to get away with that. The third companion, Taya, is interested to demolish the drone. Toya uses his Daki to distract the drone and warns Taya plenty of times to stay away from it. This is not an Earthling thing. Taya ignores him rudely until he feels there is no air in his shoes. He suddenly loses all of his control. Mina is unable to know what is happening, but she is enjoying this adrenaline. The reporters announce that it can fall into the same trajectory and it can disrupt the communication. Toya finally holds his hand of Taya. Although they both are moving in an irregular manner. The reporters are trying hard to get away with the drone. They discover that this is actually a comet that can demolish the whole station. The Mayor Sagami gives a caution that we can have a collision with a comet. Konoha is witnessing all this. The executive hall is automatically closed from the top. Mina's functionalities cease. Both Toya and Taya go down in a jitter. The second episode commences in a dramatic way. Taya reckons that Toya must be punished for breaking the law. He places a handcuff around his wrist. Toya gets furious and the environment gets severe cold. They are looking for a shield. On the other side, Mina and her brother become unconscious for a few moments. They find NASA Houston unconscious. However, 12 tells them that she regains her senses soon. 12 adds that the elevator will go down, and at the moment, I am running out of functionalities. As soon as the elevator goes down, Houston wakes up. Both Toya and Taya find the edge of the shield. Toya starts looking for something that reduces the cold. He finds something that can wrap his body. Taya expects that he may find something, but there is only one. Eventually, Houston wakes up. They move out of the elevator and feel cold. They walk a few distances when Mina's condition gets unpleasant. Houston suddenly falls unconscious. Taya forcefully gets into the wrap thing to avoid cold with Toya. Toya has to listen to some unfavorable things like breaking the law on Earth from his counterpart. Toya hates when someone discusses Earth. Houston wakes up Mina's treatment and requests to find Aniklo. Hiroshi gets to know its kind of cloth for sustaining in the shield. Toya and Taya struggle hard to find a manual. Taya remains furious as he believes that Toya breaks the law. As they connect with a Bright, both find a remedy to move further into the shield. Taya doubts that Toya is doing all this to approach Konoha. Reaching the bulkhead, Taya thinks it's too hard to open this, but Toya removes it comfortably. Afterward, Taya makes fun of Toya's physical strength. He takes lead while walking. It does not take too long for Toya to chase him with his technical ride. Soon after, they find Konoha is in an unconscious state. They become frightened. Toya tries hard to activate the password. After multiple attempts, he manages to save the life of Konoha with her implant. Mina approaches Toya and they all are surprised to find each other. Toya asks about the health of Houston. She is slightly alright though. They start walking and Konoha is conscious now. Mina asks many questions from Konoha and depicts that Yu and Toya are from the moon. Well, that's true. Mina comes to know from Houston that the parents of Konoha and Toya died in a lunar station. They have to open another bulkhead. When they open it, Konoha feels uncomfortable. Snow is all around and they are breathing hard. Surprisingly, they find a space fairy, the chief of Toya. The chief tries helping them, but the snow becomes heavier. They are holding each other's hand, trying to save each other's lives, and episode 2 ends here. The third episode begins when Toya is finally able to close the bulkhead to avoid snow. They are trapped in a tube. Fortunate for them, there is some air. Mina wants to see the face of the chief, who designed more than half of the portion of the tube. The chief unzipped his costume. There is an old man inside who used to be the designer before Deagle takes over. Only the chief's special costume can get them out of the tube. Unlike others, Mina is too scared to walk in space. Toya says if we do not move, we all will die. Toya finds spacesuits, but those are too short. Toya decides to use the EVM spacesuit or else we all die. Everyone wants Toya to lead as he is more aware of the situation. Finally, they leave for a journey through Mars. The Earth's people face difficulties. Mina takes a glance at Earth and becomes amused. Toya wants everyone to follow the chief. No one is aware of the S pattern except Houston. She describes everyone it's a sacred symbol. A comet arrives in a space which is actually a sign of danger. Chief has to use his secret weapon. They all get more energy and start running. Meanwhile, Taya loses his control. Trying to use his skills to save, Toya helps him too. Soon after, Taya survives and Toya is impressed with the Earth people for the first time. They enter the drinks are of different types and plasma is one of those. Taya wants to drink with Toya. While drinking, Taya explains that Yu and Konoha suffer a lot from the 7 functions. Unto should take place. Toya highly disagrees and says that the 7 systems have a technical fault and are not a failure. If it was a failure, I and Konoha would have died. Mina approaches NASA Houston and asks about her injury. Mina and her brother thank Houston for her great help when they were in the elevator. On the other side, Taya explains how 7 is going to be very dangerous. As per 7, about 36% of the population has to die. He adds that a hacking group of John Doe is also responsible for the humiliation. However, Toya shows less interest and believes that he and Konoha, whatever they are today, is because of 7. Konoha goes to Houston and applies a patch on the affected part of her injury. Konoha gets really emotional while describing Even. She tells Houston that we may die right away. Houston encourages her and advises that there is a specific time for 7 implants to die. Houston shares some secret word Fitz with Konoha to remember. Hiroshi finds peer-to-peer functions to connect with drones. Toya quickly connects it. They find the shield disappeared and the control room is not functional anymore. Toya gets nervous. He is suggested by Hiroshi to check the second control room. He finds so and becomes excited to see his uncle Sugami in a vacuum. They use the laser transmission to talk. Toya gathers immense courage and tells everyone that we will find a way to move out. The 3rd episode ends here. The 4th episode begins in a ferocious fashion. The fragments all around the space are circulating. Mayor Suegami gets annoyed and receives the information that it can create some harm. Luckily, there is a slight explosion and all are saved. Toya, on the other hand, can do some tricks with his drone Daki. He produces so many birds as a drone to activate the process, which leaves the mayor astounded. Mina connects to the internet and starts taking live interviews with Toya. Toya is teased and gives a non-serious response to Mina. Anyhow, Mina uploads that. Afterward, the fragments are getting into action again. The UN-2 is going to perform some functions. Control room warns that there can be a nuclear attack. Toya has to convert his Daki into a C limiter. Taya finds it illegal again. 12 is activated but still is not functional. Mina, however, is trapped in a bulkhead, but she enjoys her time connecting with the people and increasing more followers. 12 is helpless to open the bulkhead. The S pattern surrounds again and can demolish everything. 12's life is also at stake. The reporter decides to merge the Bright and Daki in order to avoid trouble. Toya hates the idea, but they have no other options. As soon as both the drones merge, they start performing extraordinary activities like destroying the micro machine. Both already released the C and E limiter. The 12 wants to release both F and G limiters too. Resultantly, a bulkhead is opened and Mina's life is saved. A time has come to open the last bulkhead, but it cannot be as 12's life come to an end. They have not avoided the trouble yet. UN-2 is going to perform its function. Unfortunately, it is preparing for a nuclear attack. The 7 is going to make a change. Everyone reckons that this can be the action of the group of hackers John Doe. The situation is totally out of control now. A nuclear attack is going to be launched and 36% of the Earth's population will be dead. The order is given to release the J and L limiter too. The situation turns normal after some time. The communication is still blocked. The reports are coming quickly and fast that the Comet and S pattern are using a quantum source to communicate. The reporter suggests that we should send a Daki drone near the Comet. In this way, we can enable communication through ICS antenna. However, the Comet is using 80% more intelligence than the S pattern now. Everyone's amazed that the S pattern is generated by 7. The situation is scary as John Doe's plan is on the verge of completion. 20 seconds and everyone will be dead. The clock is ticking and almost 2 seconds are left. After 2 seconds, there was no explosion. Everyone's happy but still needs more confirmation. The control room reveals that as per Daki, the Comet has disabled the nuclear attack. Now comets can attack humans, but surprisingly not humanity. This is shocking for everyone. All of a sudden, NASA Houston disables the Daki functionalities. She finally reveals the truth which she has been hiding, that she is working for John Doe and their main mission is the revolution. The 4th episode ends here. Thanks for watching.